markers that I found at Five Below. And y'all, they're amazing for being from what is essentially a discount store if you're not in the States. Five Below is it's like a high-end dollar store. And I like to peruse their small but decent art section. And sometimes they come out with some really good finds. And these two are two of them. And so we're going to talk about them a little bit. And hopefully you'll be inspired to go out and get them. I'm not being sponsored by Five Below in any way. I did, however, used to work for them once upon a time, many moons ago. But I really do love their art section. Now, before I dive into this, let me caveat that by saying that their art section is sometimes a hit or miss. Sometimes their paper is decent, but you have to adjust your expectations. You know what I mean? So, with that in mind, for being from a discount store, these are absolutely amazing. I do not have the container for these ones anymore. I don't know what happened to them. I just bought them recently, but the container disappeared on me. I'm just like, okay. But I still have the container for these ones, and these are like the kind of water brush markers, fine liners kind of deal. You'll see. So I, decided to take a little deeper dive and do all this. And I did use a stencil for this one and this one because, I can't draw for squat. That is a work in progress. There is no brand name or whatever. And I honestly, the box didn't even say. Lord only knows where it's at. But as you can see, it has a tip like a brush marker kind of deal. They are not. And then this is the other side. They are not badly placed. I kind of wish this side was a little pointed a little bit more, but you can do some pretty cool things with these seemingly cheap markers. Again, I would not get their alcohol markers. But this is what the front looks like, and it just says dual tip markers, and it shows you which end is what. That's kind of what they look like. As you can see, there's no brand name or anything like that. So you can see for yourselves, aside from me showing you this, how good these actually are. It's crazy. I'm going to take the gold one, and we're going to use the point side to do a little bit of the gold work. So these are very opaque, guys, so be careful when you lay them down. They're look how, and by opaque I mean they cover up really well. So if you've got something like these lines here, I typically will use Poscas, but these markers really cover up well. I mean, how good is that, right? For a $5 marker, I mean, it's just, I'm kind of floored, So let's finish this part out, and then we'll use the brush tip. What do you guys think so far? Pretty good, right? And I have a couple of her artist editions, which are all like this, by the way. Johanna Bashford has a couple of books like this. The paper is big like this, and it's, you see how stiff it is? And everything's one-sided. So if you wanted to, you know, use watercolor or whatever, you don't have to worry about bleed through, alcohol markers, whatever. They are more expensive than the regular books, but you see how big the images are. So for me, with my eyesight issues, that's a blessing. And I don't have to, you know, transfer it onto watercolor paper because this paper will take it. So, I don't know why it is. The other tip, the brush part doesn't do that nearly as much as this part. It digs into the paper fibers. I don't know why, but it is just a thing. So I don't go over it more than a couple of times, unless I absolutely have to, because it will just absolutely wreck your paper, even when it's good paper like this. It's kind of weird. I don't think it's particular to this type of marker. I think it's, well, this brand I met. It probably is that way with a lot of markers with that kind of nib. I'm pretty sure that's not uncommon to that type of nib, which is what they're called. So let's okay, so let's put the cap on. That's another thingy, especially with the cheaper markers, you really need to be careful to make sure you put the lids on. Now, one thing I noticed just now, I just got these markers. Do you guys see this? How that's worn away. Right here, like versus that. This part right here is already kind of starting to come off. So that's just something to note. I mean, they are budget markers, and all budget markers, pencils, you know, materials like that are going to have their drawbacks. And this to me is a very minor one because it doesn't affect the actual pen itself. So me, I don't care. So let's use the brush. Whoops, wrong way. Let's use the brush part of it. Let's see, where can I draw? Let's do it right here. Make sure you guys can see. Try a different marker. How about that? Let's do the silver one. As you can see, this one hasn't rubbed off yet. Let's do the nib part. There, what do you guys think? We'll put our little cap on. Ta-da! And let's try a different spot where we can use the brush part. I think we could still do this part. You just have to use a super light hand because this is one of those brush nibs, and it will definitely bend. Like right, push too hard on that nib, that's gonna bend. Just be careful when you're doing that. I think I'm gonna put some right here too. Let's see. But they're so opaque. I love it. And they glide on, they go on really smooth. You know, overall, they are absolutely 100% worth it. Pretty good, right? So, how about we try a couple more? Pretty one. And there are no color names on them, unfortunately. But one end says fine, and then the other says brush. Yeah. That's it. Again, you know, they're budget markers, so you're gonna just have corners be cut like that. It's just kind of the way it is. Let's see. I'm going to put. This strikes me as being kind of a reddish pink kind of deal. Put this on. Ta-da! Let's find a different spot. Oh, here we go. Let's do this. And that's the brush tip. And we're going to do just a couple here. There we go. Because we want to have different stones and play around with it. Let's go for. Pretty good, right? So I'm gonna pull out this white one. Now this white one is very interesting. It's like a pearlescent white. I kind of like it. It's really unique. I don't know how much it's gonna show up on this paper, but I'm gonna try. So, because I'm gonna use it for this right here. Little highlight. Let's see how that showed up. What do you guys think? Pretty good, right? It does show up some, a little more than I thought. Now, this is the kind of marker that you could also use to blend with, because it's essentially white. Oh, this might be one of my favorite ones, honestly. Going to move on to the other markers. And we're going to play around with those, and you guys are going to see how absolutely gorgeous they are. So stay tuned. And if you are getting any value out of what I am showing you, please consider liking and subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything, and it really, really helps me out. I am trying to grow my channel to 1,000 subs so that, you know, I can monetize. I'll be honest. And do other things. And I need engagement from you guys. Talk to me. Like, tell me what you think, what you like, what you don't like, what your favorite things about the video were, what's your unfavorite things. Just don't roast me too hard, okay? I welcome it all. So I really, really hope you guys will consider getting these. They look amazing on regular paper like this. Oh, I almost forgot to show you what, see the other side. Look at that. So, isn't that amazing? This, again, is from Hannah Carlson. Her stuff's amazing, guys. Please go check her out. All her stuff is seriously excellent. These are also excellent. And if you're on a budget, guys, these are 100% worth it. 100%. $5 and some change. You cannot go wrong with that. As I said a little bit ago, you do have to adjust your expectations. They are budget markers. Okay? But I love the little case that these come in with a little handle at the top. Ta-da! So you can hang them up if you need to. And they're see-through too, which is great. So if you don't have your case open, you can see through to what's on the other side. And you don't, oh, okay, I need it right there. You just go straight to it. It's pretty great. These are, I would classify them as water brush markers also. But the great thing about these is the dual tones. Play around a little bit in this image again, since this is one I have out. And I'll show you a few of them. And also, I have a swatch that I did of all of them. Are the swatches. These are the dual tone for these ones right here. And then these are the metallic ones. So, as you can see, they come out a pretty decent set of colors. Not too bad, right? And then those are all the metallics. So, if you would like this swatch sheet, I would be happy to send you a blank version of this without the marker swatches on them. You know, just let me know. I can send you a copy of this in specifics. I know it's a little rough, but I'm not a professional swatch maker, so you know, I do the best I can. But I would be happy to send you a blank version of this as well. Just let me know. You know, email me, DM me. My socials, I believe, are at the end of the video, except for my Sherry's Creations, which is my Facebook page that is associated with this channel. I have to make like new outros with my updated socials on. Play around with this a little bit and see what we come up with. So this is one of my favorite color combos, is this right here. It's almost like a brick red and then like a cherry red to me. I absolutely love this. So this is what they look like. Ta-da! And that's, they do take a little bit of effort to get on and off. So for, if you're like me and you have arthritic issues, that may be an issue, but at least you know they're secure. And again, this is weird to me, guys. They're two different colors, but one color has the brush and the other color has the nib. I find that a little weird, if I'm being honest. Because what if you want to use that color, but you need the nib side? I'm not sure why they did that way, but either way, you're getting double your value. So, you know, so let me pull this up here. There we go. You see how nicely that lays down? And I'm just using a super gentle touch. Now, if you want to blend with the markers, I am by no means a marker expert, guys. It is absolutely not my specialty. However, you know, I'm not entirely ignorant either, but it's definitely not my specialty. But these type of markers I tend to like better than the alcohol markers because there's multiple ways that you can use them. Shoot, just went over that, but that's okay. I'm gonna fix what I just did there. You'll see in a second. Ta-da. What you can do with these though, there's a couple different, I keep going over that line. There's that space is so small. My eyes are so dumb. But either way, there's another surprising way that you can use these, and I'm going to show you in a minute. I wish I could use a nib end for this. That's the only real drawback to these. You know, honestly, in my opinion. Now, a couple of things you can do with these. If you have a board, I'm going to take the darker toned one, which has the nib I want anyway, and I'm going to make some shadows. Now this might bleed through, so we'll see. We'll check it out after I'm done. There we go. It's a little better. But do you see how it kind of creates like that shadow, that darker tone? That's basically what the one end is. You get a lighter shade of the dark and then the darker shade. And they complement each other very well. Now it seems really dark right now, even though I'm pushing really gently. It will lighten up. It's with any wet media, whether it be markers, alcohol markers, brush markers, watercolor, it does lighten up. So, but what you want to do before I add in, what do you call it? Some of the metallic markers over this part. I'm going to take a brush. Really cool that you can do with water brush type markers. Take your palette, and it might stain your palette, so be prepared for that, okay? Just scribble it on your palette like this. Grab your brush. In this case, I'm going to use my water brush because it's the only fine point one I have here in my art room at the moment. Squeeze a little water. There we go. Just let it, you know, kind of do its thing for a second. Like you would any watercolor that you put down. Watch this. Oh, also, especially if you use this kind of marker, look at that, guys. Isn't that amazing? That's what water brush markers can do. Tombows will do this even, although they're considerably more expensive. But you just take your little brush, and it pretty much does like watercolor. Now, if you happen to break through like I just did there, grab yourself a Q-tip. I highly recommend these. Amazon. And also, if you happen to have an area that's a little too dark, like right there, you can take your little Q-tip and just kind of, since this one's wet from the previous water, and just kind of go in there and go like I'm doing. I hope the camera can pick up what I'm doing here, but, and I'm lightening that up. You see how it picked it up? And I'm only going to put just a little because otherwise it'll just bleed back into that other space. But that's how you add shadow. You just squiggle it onto your board. And not too much. Use like a paper towel or something like that and just kind of dab off the excess like that so you don't have too much. And you just use it to make your shade. Just like that, like you would watercolor. And bear in mind the water brush marker that's already down will also blend some. So just be mindful of that. That's going to move too. Don't want too much, really. Like less is more here when you're doing this. I know this is a bit of a rabbit trail, but I thought that you guys would enjoy it. Because it's something not a lot of people know you can do with these. That, and you can also take your marker, brush marker, and kind of do this. But do it so very carefully. Very, very carefully. You can just go back over it. And while it's still wet, it will blend like watercolor. Just gently blend it. Make sure, especially if you're using a water brush. Just kind of, ta-da. And if it, you know, it's not something you like, assuming you haven't like ruined your paper, you can go back over it. Just let it dry completely and go back over it. This kind of paper especially can take a lot. That's why it's worth buying, even though you pay extra for it. It's the paper you get is amazing. Now I'm going to show you a neat little trick. Watch this. I'm going to take the brush tip. I'm lightly going to, you can tell, I think, where the paper is starting to deteriorate a little bit. So that's why I'm kind of just dabbing here instead of outright swiping. You want to be very careful. When you see it starting to pill, that's your sign to just be super, super careful. It really is important to make sure you put the lids on. So, as you can tell, that it has blended, it has dried a little, and I just got to put this little part back on. Very carefully and gently. Now, before you add in anything else, when you are working with wet like that, you want to give it a few minutes like you would any watercolor to sort of blend and bleed and kind of do its thing. But once you've done that for a couple minutes, which I have, then you can go back in and soften it up just a little if you want to. Just a little. I'll play around with that some more. But what I'm going to do is take my handy dandy little hair dryer. I highly recommend getting one of these, by the way. They are, I don't know, $10, $20 on Amazon, and they are the best thing ever. Look at that. It folds up, has two different power settings. I believe this one is from Lura, but there's other brands. But these are fantastic for when you are in a hurry and need to dry things quickly. think I'm going to use the copper one. This really is hands down my favorite marker, honestly, of all of them. Let's see what the gray looks like on this. Because what I'm going to do is put some silver over it. So this is this particular end. Not too shabby, huh? I sincerely hope that you got some value out of this. I hope it inspires you to go out and get them and play around with them and just have fun. Let's see how the other side of the paper did. Wow, pretty good, huh? A little bit right there maybe, but not too bad. So this also is worth getting. Man, if you're traveling, look at that. This would be great. I mean, ta-da! Pop that in your suitcase. I mean, it's just so worth it. And give this a try. It doesn't have to be this particular Caran d'Ache board, you know, but give it a try. I would recommend, though, not using a water brush like this. I'm gonna do, hold on. I'm gonna do this top part. And I'm gonna mix this one with a little bit of this one from the two different sets. So it's from the dual tip, dual markers, dual color markers, and the metallics. Let's see how this goes together. I think this is going to be fabulous. Let's give this a try. You don't need too much water, by the way. Let's see how this goes before we... Ooh, look at that, guys. Look at that. Look at that. Now, if you want to get even more adventuresome, take the darker end put it on your palette. Just like that. Watch this. And that's what that looks like, by the way, wet. That brownish, it's almost like a maroonish red. Now, if you want to enhance its ability to travel, just kind of tilt your page like that. Give it a good shake if you want to. Push it along. Wipe your brush like that. Get all the excess ink off. Go back into your other mix, like I'm doing right there. Look at that. How about that? Is that not amazing? So the things you can do with these kinds of markers are absolutely endless. It's why I really prefer them to alcohol markers. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, please consider liking and subscribing. I appreciate it. Not too shabby, huh? I sincerely hope that you got some value out of this. I hope it inspires you to go out and get them and play around with them and just have fun. Let's see how the other side of the paper did. Wow, pretty good, huh? A little bit right there maybe, but not too bad. So this also is worth getting. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email address is swtslr68@gmail.com. I welcome any and all comments as long as you're respectful. And if you have any further questions about the art supplies that I showed you, let me know. And with that, I will say goodbye, and please stay safe out there. Be kind to each other. Give each other some grace. It's kind of rough out there right now. So I love you all and have a blessed one. Bye.